I want to broaden this discussion even further right now, seeing how this has become unquestionably a nationwide issue. So here now to discuss why we need a federal SAFE Act to protect all kids from these kinds of dangerous so-called gender transition surgeries is Jennifer Bauwens. Dr. Bauwens is the director of the Center for Family Studies here at the Family Research Council. She has worked extensively as a clinician providing trauma-focused treatment to children in foster care and behavioral health settings. And she's also helped a lot of adults who've experienced interpersonal traumas such as sexual abuse and assault. Dr. Bauwens, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always an honor to have you.
Thanks for having me, Jody. It's good to be with you.
Well, it's our pleasure. Thank you. All right, so let's start with that first question that I just mentioned, that you believe why do we need a federal SAFE Act?
Yeah, well, this issue isn't for kids just in red states, but also for kids in blue states. And it's not a good practice for any child. I don't care what color of state that you're in. This is a bad medical practice, and we need to use every available mechanism that we have, whether it's taking these cases to the Supreme Court, suing doctors who perform malpractice. I mean, it is malpractice, or inviting our professional organizations to do some soul searching by presenting case studies. We have so many different ways that we can educate, correct policies, et cetera, and we need to do everything we can to keep our kids safe.
Absolutely. It's probably a lot of folks, viewers and regular listeners of this program so far, probably are not even aware of the role that FRC had literally in pioneering the first SAFE Act back in Arkansas. Can you kind of fill us in on that process?
Sure. The Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act, SAFE Acts as we call them, we helped pioneer that model legislation and helped were instrumental with Robin Lundstrom, who introduced that bill into Arkansas. And Arkansas was one of the first states to really take up this charge. And you can imagine the bravery of Robin Lundstrom in a landscape that, she was all alone at the time. And so we were a big part of that, giving research to back up the model legislation, as well as providing the outline for that. And now look at what has happened. All kinds of bills have proliferated, different versions of these SAFE Acts, and now we have 27 states, roughly 27 states, that are implementing a version of the SAFE Act in their state to protect kids. These are all measures to protect children, and it's been wonderful to see various states take up the cause in a very short amount of time, relatively speaking.
It really has. It really has been amazing. As you mentioned, now 27 states, and that's as of this month. I mean, that's current information right now that have taken up this, trying to protect children. And again, thank you for your tip of the spear role in all of this. Jennifer, if you can remind us again about the harms of these so-called gender transition procedures.
Yeah, and we heard a little bit from A.G. Yost, but we often hear about the physical harms, which they're pretty. If you want to pay attention, they're pretty obvious. We're talking about, first of all, potentially losing healthy parts of one's body in an effort to appear like the opposite sex. But we're talking about structurally and the integrity of a person's body being altered through chemicals that we know have an effect, such as bone loss, bone density loss, cardiovascular issues, cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. One thing that's not mentioned very, very much, and I think that's because there just isn't a lot of research on it, is the fact that children are missing psychological developmental milestones by altering or halting puberty and by appearing as the opposite sex. And these are important developmental milestones of going through puberty. We all had those experiences where we had to grapple with uncomfortable feelings and uncomfortable feelings about who we are in a social world. And that's going to be lost for kids who have undergone these gender procedures or really altering procedures that to appear like the opposite sex. That's all they are. They're cosmetic and very mutating at the same time. So lots of harms.
Amazing. Yeah, we don't even know the beginning of it. As you start unraveling some of that for us, I'm just thinking, man, the depth of harm here from a psychological perspective, spiritually, and obviously physical harm. It's deeper and broader and wider than we can even imagine. Yeah. Attorney General Dave Yost from Ohio just a few moments ago talked about how he is seeing people all over who are changing their perspectives on this. What are you seeing from a medical perspective? Are we seeing a shift in our country and in the medical community back to sanity and common sense on all of this?
Well, I think the polls reflect that, but I'd say just at another level, I think you're seeing professionals willing to come out more than they have before. And of course, that's not in the numbers that we'd love to see, but the fact that we have so many people working on this issue compared to several years ago. I mean, several years ago, you could barely get somebody to testify on this issue. Now you have a whole large cohort of people that are willing to come forward and tell their story, whether it's as a professional or someone who's been affected and is looking to return to their, I don't even say detransition, I say coming back to God's identity for them. They're returning to who God created them to be, and they're willing to speak out, and which is absolutely wonderful. And that to me is a sign that that the people are rising up and they're rejecting this as a ideology and / religion.
Wow. Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I love the way you described this, not detransitioning, but just coming back to God's identity as to who he created these individuals to be. So for those who may be watching or listening right now who question why we might need a SAFE Act on the state and or national level, what would you say to them?
I think we are at a place where this has been such a pervasive issue in every institution of our society. We certainly hear about it in schools and in the psychological community, but it's been, in business, and every area has been infected, especially with the push from the last administration to do so. And we need sweeping legislation at every level. Rulemaking, I mean, local policies, every single area also needs to be addressed because our society has been infected, and we need a good vaccine, a good vaccine, not promoted by some folks like Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Jennifer Bauwens, Director of the Center for Family Studies here at the Family Research Council, thank you so much for your leadership on this issue. We appreciate it.